Hey everyone, Sven for Strength and Mobility here. We got a little more gentle workout today. If you got any aches or pains, this one's for you. If you've been killing yourself with the push-up challenge, then this one's for you. It's going to be about recovery, full ranges of motion in the joints, and staying moving. So first thing we're going to do is march 2 minutes. I'm going to do this first warm-up part with you. And then we're going to set up some time parameters for the movements that you'll be doing on your own. And it should be about 45 minutes to an hour workout. But we got this warm-up to do together first. If you can, try to coordinate your arms with your legs. That way you get a nice rhythm. It's the natural pattern of the body. If you're comfortable doing so, you can always pick it up. At least we get to do it together. One minute left. Hopefully you got some music going on your end. And we'll start to bring it down here. First thing we're going to do is going to be the head rotation. Hands on the hips, and we're going to look left to right. We're going to go for 10 of these, just trying to increase the range of motion of the neck, or stay moving in those areas. We're going to go head, shoulders, hips, all the way down. And we'll go chin up and down. Then we got shoulder rolls backwards, focusing on the pinch back and down. Then we go for 10. And then we'll go arm circles forward for 10. Small ones first, and then we'll do big ones. Any issues with the shoulder, you can turn those thumbs up. That will help alleviate some issues if there is range of motion issues. But just trying to mobilize the shoulder joint here. Once you get to 10, we're going to go to those hip circles, 10 in each direction. And once you get to 10, we'll switch direction. Try to stay balanced center, just getting those bodies moving here. And then we're going to go ankle circles. So bringing the foot back, if you need to hold on to something for balance, please do so. It's just going to be 10 circles in each direction with each foot. Maybe on the left side it looks like you're drawing squares. Still holding something that wasn't there. And we're going to go into the bend and reach next. So what we are going to do is we're going to slow our movement down to pair naturally with our breath. So you're going to use the breath's normal timing. If it increases in its rate because of the work that you're doing, that's okay. Just try to follow its pattern, and you're going to make your body move at that time. Sometimes the body will want to do the bend and reach, and just start bending and reaching. But then if the breath were to follow the movement pattern, it would be like, because we're pairing our extension with inhale. So ideally, we'll exhale as we fall with gravity, controlling that negative descent. And then inhale as you extend, open, abduct, externally rotate. What I mean is you're just going to try to open the body as much as you can as you inhale, and then as you exhale, the body's just going to naturally fall into a pattern of flexion. haven't given you a number. We'll just keep it going. And again, you go into whatever ranges of motion feel the most comfortable for you. You're going to try to open up every joint. Chest comes up, head comes up, shoulders rotate outward, fingers open, extend, and relax and folding back into the forward position. And we'll relax there. We're going to go into some dynamic mobility. We're going to go single leg lifts. Again, if you need to hold on to something, please do. But we're going to do 5 lifts and a 5-second hold at the end, going into all directions for the hip. First one is going to be straight up with the leg forward in front of you, as high as you can, keeping that knee straight. You're going to go for 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to hold the 5th one for 5 seconds. I should probably have something to hold on to here. It should be challenging for balance, but it should also work those muscles of the hip and thigh. You'll do that on each side, 5 sets. Each side, 5 sets, okay? Take the rest as you need. Don't take more than 30 seconds to a minute if you can. We're just working with that body weight, but I know those holds are going to start to burn. Again, it's going to be 5 repetitions holding the 5th one for 5 seconds. You'll do that on each side 5 times. We're going to go to the front. We're going to go to the side. So a single leg lift out to the side. Again, try to keep that knee straight. If there's range of motion issues in the hip, knee, low back, whatever, you're probably going to want to hike the hip. You're going to want to let the knee bend, etc. But do the best you can to stay in a range of motion that you can actually do a correct in. So keeping that knee straight and not letting the hip do too much hiking for the side leg lift. Going to be 5 repetitions, and you're going to try to hold that 5th one. Again, if we're focusing on control of that muscle right now and not so much balance, it's cool to get both. But have something to hold on to. That way you get that full work out of that hip. Try not to put all the weight on it so you can transition to control on the standing leg. Once you get to 5, you'll hold it out for 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Each side, 5 sets. Last one we're going to do is to the rear. And again, it's going to be not just a leg lift, because we don't want it to crank on our back if the hip's not at good holding its position. We're going to do a hinge here. So we're going to be focused on lifting the back leg, but the body's going to move with it. This one, try to hold on to something, but don't hold on to something so high, because as you hinge, it's going to put you in a weird position and make the form get wonky. So again, it's a leg lift to the rear. The body's just following the movement with the leg. I'm still lifting this leg, which should get the muscles that extend the hip working together. 5 reps, forward, side, back. Don't forget to hold that last one for 5 seconds as high as you can. That intent is going to be a huge part of getting those muscles to work strongly together. So go ahead and pause it now if you want and go hit those sets. We'll come into the next upper body movement in a second. All right, so now we got a little upper body work. We're going to let those legs cool down and rest. I'm sure you got a bunch of burn happening out of those hips here. We're going to work on some range of motion, but we're going to do it in a duration that's going to burn those muscles out. Not burn them out, but make them work for sure. We're going to start with fingertips together here. When you do everything, try to keep good posture, head up, chest up, spine as neutral as can be. And one of the best cues that I know is being drawn up from the top back of the head right here. Like you're being extended at the spine. And just that intent is going to help make sure you're not as compressed and hunched. So do that the whole time, and you'll get the shoulders in a good habit with your body's natural posture, or best posture. Fingertips together in front of you. It's tall, standing, shoulders up and back. You're going to do this for an entire minute. Start that clock. You can pause and go now. Second minute. Splitting the arms, one up, one down. You can find a nice movement to it, but try to keep it in good control. The slower you do this, the more work you're going to get out of the muscle. If you do this fast and you have good control and great tone already, that's going to be okay. But again, slow for this one is going to get the most burn out of it. It's also going to teach the body the best how to control that movement. So again, it's a minute. Then we're going to go butterfly curls, fingertips behind the ears, elbows open, shoulders together. You'll find this also in our dynamic mobility video, but we're doing them for 30 seconds on that video. So today we're doing these all for a minute, and the shoulder should already be working here. Once you get a minute, next one is going to be the shoulder roll backward. If you can do the full arm, the backstroke, and not have any issues of impingement or uncomfortable rotator cuffs or pain in the shoulder at all, you can definitely do that. Watch out for the crank in the low back and too much rotation. We're trying to work the upper shoulder here. But if that doesn't work, just keep rolling that shoulder back. Working on getting that chest pulled open, getting out of those patterns of flexion and posture. And the last one is going to be out to the side. One at a time, you're going to go as high as you can out to the side. And you're going to do this alternating for a minute. Fifth movement of the upper body. Going to go into a couple positions on the floor next. So we're going to go down to the hands and knees position. If you're comfortable getting down to the floor, any way you do it is the best way. If you need something to hold on to, or you have a table, that would work best. Again, if you don't know how to do this, the best way is probably stepping back, lowering the body to the floor, getting the hand and knee ready to brace. The other hand replaces as you get into the quadruped position. So this hands and knees position here, you want the hands under the shoulders, the knees under the hips. We're going to start by just reaching arm up after we've made sure we're at center and balanced here. So the arm is going to reach up and down, and we're going to do the same arm for 10 repetitions in smooth, slow control. Once you get to 10, you're going to hold 10 seconds. We did 5 with the hips. Arms are a little lighter here. We're going to do 10 with the upper, and we'll bring it back down after that 10-second hold. We'll do this on each side for 3 sets on each side. Try to make sure as you're lifting the arm, we're trying to keep ourselves centered here, not falling to one side as I go to lift the arm and take my center of balance away. So a cue that can help is hold the belly button in, and also imagine that there's a string connected to the floor. And if you move, that string's taut, it's going to break. So again, try to keep that belly button centered, and that intent should give your body a cue to kind of find middle. And once you do 10 on each side, you're going to do the same thing with the leg. We're going to keep the leg bent here, and we're going to send that heel to the ceiling, the donkey kick. Again, it's going to be 10 repetitions, holding the 10th one for 10 seconds, and you're going to do that on each side for 3 sets. We're going to take some pressure off those wrists here. We're going to stand back up and work on the sit to stand or the squat. If you need something to grab to sit on, do that now. Okay, hopefully you've got a chair or something like that to sit on. If you need to elevate the height of the chair, use a pillow or a couple folded towels. What we're going to be doing is working on the lower body here, lowering our hips towards the chair, and then standing back up. If it is something that you need to sit on, make sure that you sit all the way down, and then if you need to, use that body to rock yourself forward and up. Get your nose towards the toes, and then come up with the head, pushing off the floor. Those are the best cues that I know how to stand up. Just make sure you're not falling too far forward. And if you do extend too early, you could be falling back onto the table. We're just looking for middle here. Practice will help. 1 minute of sit to stands or squats for 3 rounds. And if you can't go to full depth again and you want to work on that squat, just lower your body in as much control, pain-free as you can before standing up and getting as tall as you can. Again, for 1 minute, 3 rounds will be that work for the lower body. The next thing we're going to do is go into a little bit of challenge for the balance. It's going to be the step back. What you're going to do is take as big of a step back as possible. And if you need, again, something to hold on to, please do that for balance. But again, we're working on making that front leg control our position here. So it's a big step back, and then using that front leg to help pull us back into the standing position. Again, we're trying to hold on to something in front of us to make sure that we have good balance if needed. And again, it's a big step back, working on range of the hips, and then a pull out of that front leg. We want that front leg to do most of the work because it has the full surface area of the foot in place. That back leg's just on the ball of the foot, so it doesn't have a lot to hold on to on that floor, and also there's not as many joints and stable points involved, so the muscles are less involved as well. Again, that front leg, we want to be controlled and in good balance on it, and we want to use it to pull out of the hole. We're going to do this for 10 on one side, 10 on the other, and we're going to do that for 4 sets. Now we're going into our last component on the lower body and core work. We're going to get back down to the floor here, and it's going to be the bird dogs. So alternating bird dogs is going to be extending one arm and leg out, bringing the elbow towards the knee, extending out again, and then back down. Before we switch, extend elbow to knee, get these fingertips and these toes as far away from each other as possible, and then bring them back down to the neutral tabletop position. That belly button centered is huge for this one. You're going to do this for a minute, and again, it's going to be for 4 sets like our step back lunge. 1 minute of the alternating bird dog. Do it as slow as you need to stay middled in the core. That center point, that balance, priority number 1. And when you do this, if I talk about extension, I want in this pattern right now, I want to be working on getting them as far away from each other as possible, so the toes and fingers away. If I extend upward, they're getting closer to each other, okay? So we want to make sure they get as far away from each other as possible, keep that spine flat. We don't want to overextend anything to compensate for that reaching upward. Last thing we're going to do is diagonal crunch, then we'll get out of here. Fingertips behind the ears, elbow towards the knee, alternating from side to side. These ones are going to be for 40 seconds. I know that'll be a bit of a long set, but we're working on getting stronger here. These should flex the core. Also, if you're feeling neck discomfort, then we want to make sure we're using the belly to help pull us up. So focusing on the shoulders coming up will be helpful, but also if you need, you can take a towel, a small towel, roll it up and place it behind the neck and use that to help the crunch action as you bring that knee towards the elbow. Again, connecting those upper and lower hemispheres. Opposite motion of flexion that we did with extension on the bird dog. I know it's a lot, but I know you guys know that movement pattern because we do it a lot here at Strength and Mobility. And again, it's elbow to knee and elbow to knee. If you need to increase the challenge on this, I would check out the other workout videos that we have on YouTube. They're kind of burners. So I hope this works out for you. Before we get out of here, we're going to stretch. Every stretch today we're going to hold for 30 seconds, and that's the minimum standard for us. Some stretches we'll want to hold for upwards of 2 or 3 minutes. If you look at disciplines that get real length changes, they hold things for much longer. So just remember that if you want to hold for longer than 30 seconds, it's an easy video to pause, hold yourself in a stretch longer, especially if it feels good and if you know you have tightness in those areas naturally. What we're going to do first is we're going to hold on to something. Hopefully you have something around you to hold on to. If not, the wall works just fine. You're going to place your hand flat on the wall, fingers upward, and I'm going to make my arms straight, keeping my shoulders pulled back, turn away from the wall to get a stretch of the muscles in the front of the shoulder and in the chest. If you want to look away, it's going to help get all the muscles that turn inward on this side here open, and it'll be a nice stretch, hopefully for everything involved. Bicep, things in the elbow, forearms, wrists, pec is the big muscle that we want to open here. We'll do this for 30 seconds. You'll do this on each side. Shoulders stay back, chest up. Next one we're going to do is we're going to interlock the fingers and hopefully stretch out some of the rotators of the shoulder, the internal ones. We're going to interlock the fingers behind the back and do a light bend forward as we lift the hips away from the back and stretch out the front of the shoulders. No matter what you're doing, you're in charge of your own safety and comfort. Try not to put yourself in any painful positions. There is so much information out there that you can find a way to modify it. It shouldn't be pain, burn and discomfort and stuff like that. We push through that all day. But that pain thing, we want to make sure that it's not breaking down the joint. Water on a rock will eventually make the Grand Canyon, right? So degradation is a real thing. Over time, it can just start to break down, break down, break down. We want to minimize that as much as possible. Listen to your body. We were on the internal rotator stretch. Yep, internal rotator stretch, and then we're going to go into the cross-body stretch here. When you do this stretch, you can get the hand behind the elbow, bring it across the body. Try not to let the shoulder collapse inward. This isn't as good of a stretch as the shoulders back stretch for the back of the shoulder. Shoulders back stretch for the back of the shoulder. Should be feeling a stretch along here. We're going to do 30 seconds on each side. Try to keep the shoulders back again. That's going to be the most truthful stretch here. Otherwise, we're getting a stretch out of the areas that we're trying to get out of forward habits for this class. We'll do the split stance stretch next. Again, you're looking for something to hold on to because right now we're focused on lengthening the muscles, not balance challenged work. So that split stance here, we're going to open up that hip and hold on to something. You can also change this position into a different stretch we'll show in a second. But right now, focus on the front of the hips stretching out here. You'll do this on each side for 30 seconds, again, opening the hips up. And now you can push off what you're holding onto and push that back heel down. As you push off what's in front of you, you're going to get a nice stretch out of the calf, as long as your intent is to get that heel pressed into the floor. 30 seconds on each side again. And then the last stretch we're going to do, I'm going to grab something to sit on real quick, and I'll have you do this from the seated position. We're going to go for hamstring stretches first. So on the edge of the table, or the seat that you're on, toe is up, knee is straight, and we're going to reach for that toe. If you feel like, oh man, I can't get my knee straight, maybe you're sitting too far back. And then the other thing is that maybe your hammies are just tight. So do whatever you can to get forward without letting the knee bend. Even a little bend in the knee, and you're like, oh, look, I can get my toes. Not helpful. Some things that can help, I don't know, but all right, keep the knee straight, that's the big thing. Reach for that toe, you'll get the correct stretch out of all the muscles that work together on the back side of that leg. You'll switch each side, 30 seconds, and then you're going to go foot onto the knee, hands on the shin, sitting tall, and you can give a little push downward to the hip to open up the rotators of the hip joint as well as other muscles in the hip thigh, and you might be feeling this stretch a bunch of other places. But just try to sit tall, keep the figure 4 position, 30 seconds on each side. Let us know if you have any questions. Hope you got a good workout.